Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. So today I want to talk to you about what needs to fall off of your PMDD relationship. What needs to fall off? So we're in the season of fall, and I was out on a walk walking my dog, Leo, and I remember I was noticing that the seasons were changing, and, I didn't think anything of it. And I was just, finishing my PMDD partner's morning routine, and I saw a leaf fall from one of the trees. And I had this childhood thing that I used to love to do, that I still do as an adult, as a way to nurture my inner child, as they say, is when the leaves get really crunchy, I like to step on them and hear the crunch. And I noticed that, in my level of enjoying that, my daughter, who's 15, she started to do it too. So like whenever we would see like a leaf that we perceived was like really crunchy, we would like step on it. And there was some kind of pleasure that I got out of that crunching sound. But so fall is very near and dear to me because it is a big shift in the seasons. You go from really, really hot, really warm, and really, really outgoing and all of these things. And then fall is like that introduction to winter where you're being really intentional about the things that you're doing for the winter season, because winter is about hibernating. For me, it's really about, if I have a goal or if I have a plan for anything, I really do a lot of that during the winter, because you kind of like don't go out as much, you don't socialize as much, or if you do, it looks differently, but there's a lot of like family time, and fall is like a preparation season for me. And so when I was looking at this leaf that literally, it's this big giant leaf, fell from this tree, and I said, oh, two things I noticed. Number one, and stay with me here, right? Because I know you're like, what are we doing? This is not the Weather Channel. Stay with me here. Number one, I asked myself, just like the leaf fell off that tree, what needs to fall out of my life? Out of my life. What needs to fall off? What has been on my tree? The tree is me. And what needs to fall off? What has been so heavy, that's been so stressful, that's been so overwhelming. And I've gone through seasons of carrying it, but now I'm in this place of this needs to fall off. And by fall off, I mean, I'm not going to continue to deal with the same issue again and again and again. Something needs to fall off the tree, because when something falls off the tree, you're no longer carrying it. So that's what I want you to understand. When you're letting things go, when you're letting things fall off in your PMDD relationship, you're no longer carrying it around. There's a lot of, things in my private sessions. I deal with a lot of people that are holding on to these withered little, you know, leaves that are like barely hanging on by a thread, and they're not even fruitful. They're like the yellow, branches. So I'm absolutely not a plant mom, but when I was growing up, my mom used to have me take off the dead leaves. That was one of my chores. She would like go over to the plants, and we had so many plants around our house. And she was just like, if it's dead, you have to, like, if it hasn't already fallen, you have to manually, I want you to take it off. And I remember asking her why. I was that kid that was like, why do I have to do this? Like, why won't it just fall on its own? Some things do not fall out of your life on its own. You have to manually, like I had to do, take off those brown leaves, those yellow leaves that were rotted. I had to manually take it off because it was weighing the tree down and it prevented the growth of new, fresh leaves. So when I asked my mom the reason why, she gave such an amazing, amazing depiction. And I've carried that in life. And I really felt like life is full of seasons, especially when I went to deal with PMDD and the cycles and seasons of that. We literally go through a season every single month in PMDD. We go through a season in our luteal phase, a season in ovulation, a season in our period, a season in our follicular days. So we have to be skillful in letting things fall off, meaning identifying what needs to fall off. And if it hasn't fallen off naturally, then we manually need to remove it. So I'm challenging you today. And if you're taking notes, which a lot of you, tell me that you do, you're DMing me and saying, I'm taking notes on the podcast and really using it, because the podcast is very generalized PMDD advice. When you're my private client, I'm able to customize it to your specific relationship, to your specific situation. So whenever you're listening to the podcast, I want you to be very reflective of how this can apply to your relationship. This is a way that you can literally get free PMDD relationship counseling by taking what I'm telling you and applying it to your life. One of the things that I opened up for the month of November are two things: my PMDD relationship reset sessions. So I renamed my private sessions. I've always been talking about those for years, but they're really resets. And they're resets because I'm resetting your PMDD brain. I'm resetting your relationship on going into a different direction. And so now every session that I'm having with my private clients, we're going in a different direction. We're pivoting. We're pivoting from what we're been doing again and again and again, because PMDD is cyclical. So if you continue to do the same thing again and again and again, you're going to continue to get the same results. But when we're getting into this realm, so that was the first thing. I'm sorry. The second thing is the PMDD pyramid sessions. This is a session where I have one session with your partner, one session with you, and then I have one session together where I'm able to give you the customized tools for your PMDD relationship. So the link is going to be in the show notes to get one or two of those packages that is really going to help you reset and really understand and get that customized advice about your PMDD relationship. But what I want to talk to you today about is what needs to fall off. And I really took a minute to think about that, because I was like, what needs to fall off? What needs to fall off? Because this is a season. This is the optimal season. It has to be very intentional, meaning you have to allow it to fall off. So if there's something that's been weighing you down, that's been making you feel really heavy, and I don't mean your partner, before you go into that, I'm not talking about letting your partner fall off. A lot of it may be, behavioral traits, like patterns that you've seen. And so I'm going to walk you through it like I would walk my private client through it, on how to identify what needs to fall off of your PMDD relationship, what needs to change. And so the first thing that you can think about is track patterns over time. When you're keeping a journal of, do I only have issues with my partner during PMDD? I'm tracking that over time, and I'm noticing that we always argue, we always fight during PMDD. What do we always argue and fight about? What are those specific things? Is it co-parenting? Is it chores? Is it getting your needs met? Is it intimacy? What are the things? Because it's different for everyone. I can go on. Yesterday, I had 3 back-to-back private client sessions, the relationship reset sessions, and one of the pyramid sessions, and they all had different things that needed to fall off. So it's tracking the pattern of what have you been struggling with in your PMDD relationship every single month. And then you can pinpoint those emotional flashpoints. What I mean by that is you're reflecting on moments where you've been in PMDD and your emotions are unmanageable, when you feel like you're going into PMDD rage. You're tracking, because when you go into PMDD rage, you've been taking something for a long period of time. And then your PMDD brain is like, enough is enough. And we're going to get to that too. So I need you to start identifying what am I holding in? What do I keep holding in? What am I overlooking? What am I not addressing? Because anything that you don't address in your PMDD relationship will turn into PMDD rage because it's that they feel like that's the only thing that's going to make you pay attention to what's going on in your PMDD relationship. That's why PMDD rage is so dramatic. It's so extensive because it's literally the only thing that's going to propel you and say, you know what? I can't deal with this anymore. I have to address this issue. I can't stand this trigger about my partner. I have to deal with this issue. The next way to really think about what needs to fall off is, the communication between you and your PMDD partner. Really identifying, when do you start to shut down with your partner? What are the patterns of that? Is it when they say hurtful words? That was the biggest thing for me. I would always shut down. Our communication would go in the crapper whenever I would hear name calling or hurtful words. And so when you identify what you need to change, then it puts you in the place of knowing what to do about it. So when I was getting into the realm of really identifying what needs to fall off in my life, I remember just literally thinking external validation. One of the biggest triggers for me is when someone's inconsistent, when someone breadcrumbs me, because I'm in the realm of dating. And what I really needed to think about, because when I started to complain about dating, I had to literally think about myself because it's almost been a year since I filed for divorce for my ex PMDD partner and I went through the breakup. And a year ago to this day, I was absolutely miserable. I was in so much pain. I felt like I was losing my freaking mind. I felt like I was in an altered universe. It was almost like I was on the outside looking in. And I was like, I can't live my life like this. Like, something needs to change because this is unbearable. And I feel like that's really the only place that people really make changes in their PMDD relationships. You should see when PMDD couples come to me, it's when they threaten breakup again and again and again, and they're like, enough is enough. And that's what I said to myself. This needs to fall off. I'm not going another month in PMDD fighting about the same issues, nagging my partner about the same issues, arguing with them, bartering with them, saying quid per quo, like if you do this, I'll do that. I'm not begging. I remember that moment because I was in Cabo. It was for my birthday, which is November 29th for all of you that want to know, because this episode is going to be in November. And that's what I consider my new year. I don't consider my new year January 1st, like everyone else. I consider my new year as when I'm another year older. That is my new year. So November 29th will be my happy new year. And I always go someplace to celebrate. And I remember being in Cabo, Mexico, Los Cabo, Mexico, the most beautiful resort ever. Pristine water, luxury, penthouse suite, all of the things. And I was losing my freaking mind. I had never been in such a beautiful place externally and been in such an ugly place internally. I remember crying in the shower, literally tears, ugly tears coming down my face in the shower because I was so anxious. I was so depressed. I was hanging on by a thread, and by a thread I mean a piece of dental floss. And I remember getting into that mode of like, I'm pressing, I'm giving my ex-partner all the tools. I'm saying, we need to work on this. We need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this. And I remember getting to that moment where I said, you know what? Enough is enough. And that's when I realized that when you get to that point of saying enough is enough, you never go back from that. It's such a powerful turning point in your PMDD relationship because it shifted my mindset from the pain and the dysfunction and the chaos and the confusion that I was going through where I was immediately seeking change. I said, I can't do this anymore. So what needed to fall off from me during that time was my pressing, pushing, forcing someone to be someone that they were not, forcing someone to use the tools that they genuinely didn't want to do, forcing someone to be the version of them that I had created in my mind. That was my toxic trait. My toxic trait was forcing partners to live up to the standards that I had created in my mind in order to make the relationship work. And I really I realized it. I was backed against a wall. I was literally in a shower in Cabo, in a glorious shower with like a golden faucet. And I remember thinking, who in the world would be, and this is how I feel like celebrities, you know, you always look at them in Hollywood. You know, I live in California, so you always see these Hollywood people that are in this ideal situation and they commit suicide and they're miserable and they're depressed. Um, Robin Williams always stand out in my mind because I always remember him being happy and joyful and Mrs. Doubtfire and all his like comedy things. And to think that someone that happy can really take their life, it sits with me because I remember because I am. I maybe that's it because I am a happy person. The core of who I am is like this amazing, joyful, jubilant. Like if you've been around me, and I have private clients that I've had sessions in person. My energy online is the same way that it is in person. I'm so loving, I'm so open, and that's just the core of who I am. You know, I will hug you, I will spend time with you, I will love on you, I will speak life into you. That's just, and it's not forced, it's genuinely who I am. And I remember thinking, like, how do these people that look so happy end up taking their lives? And it is because they've gotten to that place where they've been internally suffering with something and saying enough is enough. And I was at that place where I was like, I could care less about the external things about this resort, about how people could think this is you know, they would kill to be at a place like this and all that. None of that mattered because of the internal turmoil that I was feeling. So what needed to fall away from me at that time was releasing myself from the obligation of having to force a person to be in a situation that they genuinely did not want to be in. And I don't mean that I'm assuming that they didn't want to be in the situation. They literally, like I literally, you know, told them, hey, these are the things that need to happen in order for this relationship to work. And they literally said, yeah, I'm not doing that. And I literally was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, we can work with that. And I was like, girl, what are you talking about? He literally told you, I'm not doing the work. And I had to take a step back and really say, enough is enough. I can't force anyone to use the tools. I can provide them to you, but if you don't choose to use them, I can't force you to do it. And my heart breaks for the people that don't use the tools that I give them, that don't book the private sessions, that get into those moments of feeling like they want to break up and feeling like they're at a breaking point and not reaching out, not getting the options, like not getting the tools. You know, this is why I created the PMDD relationship reset sessions. And I only have a limited amount. And someone asked me about that. I was like, I only have a limited amount because there's only a limited amount of time. I have clients in over 60 countries right now as of 2024, which my accountant told me. And I literally cannot service over a certain amount. So if you're not grabbing these sessions, if there's not a sense of urgency in saying, I'm declaring enough is enough. I'm tired of this. I'm in PMDD this month. I've had PMDD this month, and I'm going to have PMDD next month. I do not like the feeling of how I felt to be in this relationship this month. When you really recognize that, when you acknowledge the impact that PMDD is having on your relationship, it forces you to confront it. And that's what I had to do. It forced me to make a decision because I was like, I am not going through one more month of PMDD without making a change and doing something different, because outside of that, I'm the one asking for the suffering. I'm the one doing it. I'm making the decision. Every single month that I stayed in PMDD with that relationship and accepted the breadcrumbs and the lack of prioritization and a lot of other things that I noticed I had a pattern of accepting in past PMDD relationships. I have this need to, or had this need to always make things work. I always thought I could fix it. And maybe it's because of my profession and what I do, but I was literally killing myself trying to give CPR to a dead situation. I knew that it wasn't the right relationship for me, but I felt like I chose this person, I chose this relationship, I need to stick it out. That was the pressure that I was under. It wasn't that I genuinely wanted to be with this person and thought that they were my person forever. I had been shown signs that this was not my person. I had been shown behaviors that this was not my person. You know, and I've hired two mentors when in the dating world since I've been dating, because as I always tell you, if I don't know something, I'm going to hire someone who knows something about the area of my life that I need improving. You know, I hire people for my fitness, for my body, right? I have a I have mentors. And there's so much power in having mentors, because when you've said enough is enough and you're trying to go to another level in your life, you absolutely need a mentor. And that's what I am for my private clients. And so when I want to change my body, when I want to be consistent with my habits, I have a mentor. I hire a mentor that I pay every single month, and I pay well every single month. I have someone that helps me with my nutrition that I pay every single month, and I pay very well because I want the people that I'm investing into. I want them to live good lives, because I know what it takes to pour out of yourself so much into this area. But even if it's something that you're really passionate about, when you're pouring into me, you're taking something from yourself, and I want to give you resources to fill you back up. So that's the reason why I invest in every area of my life that's important to me. You know, for my spiritual health, I have a mentor that I pay every single month. So I don't tell you to do anything that I'm not already doing. I am not Dr. Rose and I'm saying I have all the answers. I'm saying if I was in a PMDD relationship right now and I had issues, I would be absolutely seeking out counseling sessions, um, specifically designed for PMDD. And because I'm dating, I'm seeking out mentors that are helping me with my dating, because I know that's the quickest way to get to the next level. That's the quickest way to learn all the lessons. I don't have years and years and years that I even desire to spend coming up with tools and stuff about dating. That's not really, that's, no, I don't desire that. But somebody has done the work and somebody has done it. And so I invest in order to receive that, because yes, I could spend time Googling it, TikToking it, looking it up on my own, and going through trial and error. But the benefits of having a mentor, the benefits of having a counselor, a therapist, psychotherapist, a psychologist, is they've been through things. If you are with a professional and they have not been through things and you don't know what they've been through, that's one thing about me. I'm not hiring anybody that hasn't been through something. Like if you haven't been through the struggle of it, then how do you know how to get me to the other side? If I'm struggling with it and you not struggled with it, and you're portraying to me that you've lived this cookie cutter perfect life, and you're just like, just breathe through it, just think positive. Absolutely, I don't connect to that. I do not connect to that. I connect to someone being real and saying, I don't have all the answers, this is what I'm going through, and this is what got me through it, and this is how I know it actually works. So when I felt that enough is enough thing, I said, this is what needs to fall off. What needs to fall off is this stress and this pressure and this heaviness. If I will tell you this, and I'm going to tell you this very honestly, if my ex PMDD partner I would have brought him the tools. I would have said, hey, this is what we need to do. And he would have done it. We would have never broken up. So I want to make this very clear. I didn't break up, give up, quit, whatever you want to call it, because, oh, we went through struggles. No, no, no. It's because I couldn't force my partner to use the tools, and that's fine. That's not his journey. Some people just don't want to do it, and you have to just make up a decision. You know what? I'm not going to, if you don't want to do it, I'm not going to force you to do it. But you never know until you give them an opportunity to do it. I was just on yesterday, I was on uh, sessions with this partner, and he really just said, if you just tell me what to do, I'll do it. I can work with that. He's like, I'm trying my best. I know that I'm not meeting the mark. I know that I'm not doing the things that I need to do, but like, give me the tools and I will absolutely use them. I can work with that. That relationship will be amazing. I can help you transform in your relationship with that. I can't help you transform with someone that's like, it is what it is. This is who I am. You just need to like conform and deal with what the behaviors that I'm giving you. No, 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 no. But when you've decided enough is enough, and you said this is what needs to fall off, I want you to really think about which area of your PMDD relationship needs to fall off. For me, it was always my offense. I was getting so offended by the words, and was someone that freely just didn't see that as important, didn't see that as a big deal, was giving me a sign of like, okay, so you're pretty much going to continue to do this. And what you're requiring is that I'm just not overly sensitive to you being this way. Here's what I said. Enough is enough. I'm gonna let you be that way. I'm gonna allow you. Not that I'm giving you permission to live your life, but I'm not gonna stand in your way of being who it is that you're choosing to be, because it is a choice. If I and what I want to say about this is you have to be very clear. You have to lay out the options for the person and allow them to choose. This is how you can truly think about what needs to fall off. Lay out the options to your partner and allow them to choose. The options are we stay the same and I grin and bear it and we're both miserable in this relationship, or we make a change and we go have those sessions with Dr. Rose that if PMDD is your thing, then I'm your person. If the reason why you are going through the same thing again and again and again in your relationship is because of PMDD, then I am your person to give you the tools. Give them the opportunity to do that. Say, hey, we're having issues in our PMDD relationship. I'm going to take you to a PMDD relationship specialist. They're going to be able to give us the tools and then we can start the process, because it is a process. It's not a one and done. That's why I have that session, is really getting clear. My PMDD relationship strategy sessions, which I only have a limited amount for November. And what I'm doing is starting to only take a certain amount of clients, which I've never done before, but in order to be in integrity and give clients the best use of my time, I have to only take a limited amount of clients, and I have to schedule out my books ahead of time. And I know that if you're my private client, and I just did one last night actually. If you're my private client, you're already working with me. If something comes up in your relationship, I will absolutely fit you in. What I'm talking about is new clients. But those PMDD relationship reset sessions are when you've decided enough is enough. I'm tired. In so much pain. My PMDD symptoms are so much worse when I'm going through all of this within the PMDD relationship. And when you're saying enough is enough, you're basically saying, I don't want, if you're in November right now, I don't want December. And this is especially true. And this is why I'm offering these sessions around the holiday season. Wherever you are in the world, I'm pretty sure there's some holiday in November, December. And holidays tend to magnify the current issues that you already have in your PMDD relationship. They make it so much bigger because now you're having to be around family. Family may be a trigger for you. Now you're having to juggle the kids. You're having to put your relationship issues on the back burner, even though they're going to show up in every interaction that you have. So if you notice that intimacy is lacking, you're not being affectionate, you're living like roommates, that's not what you signed up for, you're going to go. I remember that's what happened to me. I was in Mexico for Christmas. And I remember seeing all these couples holding hands and being so loving and all these families together. And I was like, I don't have that. And I want that. The more I saw the interaction between other couples, the more I was clear on what it is that I wanted. And the more I was clear, like it was like a slap in the face, like, you don't have this. And that's when I made the decision and said, enough is enough. I'm not going another year. And I know some of you are in that place where, it's becoming the end of the year. And this is really where you're saying enough is enough. I'm not going into 2025 or whenever you're listening to this. I'm not going into another year looking back on all the fights and arguments that we've had. Like, if you think about it, it's been 12 months in the year, 12 months. How many PMDD fights, blowups have you had within those 12 months? Because it's cyclical every single month. If you're more than half the month, or if you're still recovering from things that happen in January, February, March, April, May, June, if it's the end of the year and you're still recovering from things that happen in the beginning of the year, you've not healed from them. And it's time to say enough is enough. I'm ripping the blanket off of all of our issues, and we either deal with them and work through them, or I'm walking away. I have a relationship mentor that said one thing to me: between now and dead, how do you want to live your life? When I was thinking about the decision that I had to make, and I was forcing and forcing and forcing, and I was crying and crying. I was so depressed. I was going through literal hell this time last year. And I felt like I was going crazy and I wasn't going to get my way out of it. Like, I was like, I can't survive. I'm burnt out. And this was not a hormonal thing, right? This was, I have a holistic method of managing my PMDD. So this was not anything that I was on that was exacerbating my symptoms. It was my legit life. And I remember saying, enough is enough, because what I do impacts my child, the people that I help. I was like, I was having private sessions with clients and then breaking down myself. I was pausing my breakdown to help their breakups. And so I was having to break down in between sessions because I still show up regardless, because I love you. When I say I love you, I don't, I love deep. I love deep, and I love passionately, and I am here for you. If you're my private client, and you're in over 60 countries, it doesn't matter the time of the day. If I have availability, if I can move and shift some things around, I am here for you. And so when I was in that place of going through it, I was having to go through my breakdowns in between helping others with their breakups. And I said, enough is enough, because it wasn't sustainable. Yes, I got through a couple of months like that, but that was not sustainable. So I want to ask you today in this 2-part series, because today we talked about what needs to fall off. Next time, we're going to talk about what needs to change. The leaves are changing, the colors are changing. What are those things in your life that specifically need to change? But today, ask yourself, what needs to fall off? And then why? And my why was, I felt horrible, and I felt like I wasn't going to survive trying to carry the heaviness of what it is that I was going through. And again, if that's something that you know that you need help with, go to inlovewithpmdd.com, get those PMDD relationship reset sessions, and then also the pyramid package. If your partner's open to it, then get the pyramid package, where I have one session with him, one session with you, and then I combine the tools together. And if he's not ready, if they're not ready, if she's not ready, if your partner's not ready, you need to be ready, because enough is enough. Listen to yourself. Do not burn yourself out to where it's harder to repair yourself. So I will see you on the sessions. I will see you on the next episode. We got this. I love you. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.